Talk now to Thérèse Kayibanda of Wagner, who is the Foreign Minister of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and she joins us now from the capital, Kinshasa. Minister, good afternoon. Welcome to NewsHour. Thank you for speaking to us. What is your reaction to the findings of the Human Rights Watch report, which described the deaths of about 140, mainly Hutu civilians, near the Virunga National Park?
Thank you so much for having me. And first of all, of course, the government of the DRC is appalled, deeply concerned and shocked by this report and by its findings. But unfortunately, we're not surprised. We are not surprised because this is not an isolated incident. The occupation of Eastern DRC by the M23 with the support of the RDF has been documented over years by the United Nations and other entities. And this occupation has throughout been characterized by atrocities targeting civilians. I think what is important here is the ethnic dimension of these atrocities that have been targeting Hutu civilians in an indiscriminate manner, only focusing on their ethnicity. And I think this is an issue that sheds further light on the character of the occupation of the M23 with the support of Rwanda in Eastern DRC.
Now, the M23 group itself says that it broke off the Qatari-brokered peace negotiations which were happening because your army, the army of the DRC, has not respected the terms of the peace deal.
Well, I think the first term of the peace deal was a ceasefire. When we receive reports such as these ones, and when we have daily accounts of populations being targeted and of attacks being launched, we see that clearly the intentions and the commitments made under the Declaration of Principles in Doha have not been respected.
Right, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, Minister, but I just want to be clear, because the M23 is saying they haven't been respected by you. In other words, your side broke the ceasefire first.
I can tell you that the government of the DRC is going to be in Doha, Qatar, to participate in the peace talks. And I can also confirm to you that we met the M23 halfway in order to have a durable solution to the conflict.
But did you break the ceasefire first?
We did not break the ceasefire first because we have all intentions to make sure that our population is safe. We have committed to different international processes, including the Washington process and the Doha process. We are not shirking away from our responsibilities.
Yeah, just to be clear for people listening, there's sort of two parallel sets of negotiations going on, involving the Qataris and the US, although I think it's fair to say they both aim for the same outcome, which is peace between all the parties.
Exactly.
But the United Nations has said that it may be a case of getting peace between all the parties, but all sides are committing violence and atrocities. Indeed, the Deputy High Commissioner for Human Rights specifically said conflict-related sexual violence is being committed by all parties, and that, I'm afraid, includes the Army of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
And in those cases, we have mechanisms in place to ensure that there is no impunity within FARDC ranks, and mechanisms in place to make sure that there are sanctions if there are allegations that turn out to be true. So I think this is a clear distinction also in the way we deal with the problematic of having a conflict situation where indeed violations can occur and should, even though they should not occur, but we have put in place rigorous mechanisms to make sure that there is no impunity. I wonder if it is the case on the side of the M23. I wonder even more if it is the case on the side of the RDF. And this is an issue that is at the heart of any peace process. We need to put an end to impunity.
Again, we're using acronyms just to remind people. The RDF is Rwanda's Defence Force.
The Rwandan Defence Forces,
Thank you.
Yes. The National Army of Rwanda.
Explicit. Thank you. So what you appear to be saying is, notwithstanding that peace agreement that involved the shaking of hands by senior ministers in Washington back at the end of June, that you do not accept that Rwanda has stopped the role it denies, but the UN says it has, in supporting the activities of the M23.
The situation on the ground remains still extremely concerning and characterized by violence, characterized by attacks, and we have had substantiated evidence and reports from the UN and other sources, including Congolese sources, that tell us clearly that the M23 depends strongly on equipment, on troops, on training, on resources from Rwanda. If the violence on the ground does not stop, then it means that the presence and the support of Rwanda has not stopped either.
Right, but that's slightly different from suggesting that they are directing the activities of the M23.
Well, there is also strong evidence that shows that there are both troops from the Rwandan Defense Forces on the ground in the DRC, at a certain point estimated to over 6,000 troops, that these troops are training the M23, and that these troops are also giving guidance to the M23. So the correlation is there, and it has been established through various reports, so not just from the Congolese.
So in other words, this peace agreement has amounted to nothing.
It has not amounted to nothing. I would not endorse that statement.
Well, if the violences continue and Rwanda has continued to arm and train the Rwandan group, is continuing to arm and train the M23, which is what you're alleging, that would suggest the peace agreement has not achieved anything.
It has achieved one thing: the clarity of this, the seriousness that we have put into our commitments. It has also showed us to what extent Rwanda sticks to its word. And the peace agreement, I believe, is a strong basis for accountability. The fact that the reality on the ground has not yet changed does not mean that it cannot change. And I think this is the important point. This is where we need more accountability. This is where Rwanda needs to be held accountable to what it has signed.
And who holds it to account, finally?
Well, first of all, the United Nations Security Council that has passed the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2773, but also all of the parties that were supporting and accompanying the signature of the peace process of the peace agreement in Washington, D.C. The United States played a leading role in facilitating and brokering this peace agreement. I believe that they have leverage to hold all parties accountable, not just Rwanda, the DRC also.
Foreign Minister, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking.